Hello, everybody. We're live.
We are.
Weird. You're an ass.
I am an ass.
People have been waiting for us. Oh, Mark, what's up? Mark, are you watching? Howdy. Firearms, storage, safety, and bad ideas that might be good ideas. This could be a dangerous show.
Where are you typing this?
In the chat. I don't know that you can access that.
I don't think I can.
It only lets me talk to the people. Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machat from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we talk proper firearm storage and also things we thought that might be a bad idea, but could be a good idea. So as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. And I actually have right here in front of me the latest patch of the month. Drum roll, please.
Your camera's not on.
I don't have a camera. I'm going to talk about it. Boating safety. It's an AR with little swimmy wings on the front and back end of it, and then a little rubber ducky. And it comes with the sticker and the artist proof patch. And it is an awesome, awesome patch. I'll post a picture on the Handgun Radio Facebook page later on. But you too could get the patch of the month every month if you join the Patch of the Month Club. So head over to patriotpatch.co for more information.
Also, lesser known fact, they help you quit smoking.
Yes, there's a little bit of nicotine in every patch. And as always, shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And please help support Handgun Radio. Head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HDR. There are a bunch of different pledge levels, and we really appreciate it. So, Weird, what did you do this week?
I went to the range.
Finally.
I've been putting off too much, and I had a good range session. I went real simple. I brought my 617 just so I could just roll through that double action revolver, and didn't bring any rifles. And good thing I didn't, because they're actually renewing the berm on the rifle range, and so I wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Oh, okay, well.
And then let's see. And I also brought my my Carry 1911 and my PM45 because a while back I got some ammunition from ammunitiontogo.com. They politely contacted me and said, "Hey, can you publish this ammunition study on your blog?" I'm like, "Cool." And they're like, "Cool, can we send you some ammo your way?" And I'm like, "You don't have to. It's good content." They just did gel tests of a bunch of the defensive ammo they had, and it's always good to see what your ammo looks like in gel. And then so I said, sure, if you want, you could send me some of the plus P HST 45s. And and when it came in, it's actually a slightly different model. It is the oh shoot, I'm not going to get up and go get the box, but I ended up mentioning it to somebody at the Spear booth at the NRA show, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's actually a discontinued line that they had, but it was like a thicker jacket for law enforcement that it was designed not to delaminate like on auto glass."
Oh,
and so
like barrier penetration type thing.
Yeah, so it's a slightly different ammo. So I'm like, I should definitely try it out on my guns. And so, got the guns nice and dirty. That's always my ammo test is have a gun that you've been carrying for a while and probably could stand to be cleaned and lubed, and then shoot a bunch of dirty ammo through it, and then shoot it with the carry ammo and see how it does. And they both did pretty good.
Nice.
But I got to tell you, a 230 grade plus P45 out of a 3-inch pistol, that barks. Like I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to maybe I want to reach into my range bag and pull up my my earmuffs to put over my plugs.
You shooting you remember being in Maine in a free state where you could shoot outside a lot and it was nice.
Oh, this is outside. This is at the range that we were both shooting at.
So but even then, don't you have like the stuff over your head?
It was covered, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to come up to my range here, out in the open pasture.
Mm-hmm.
Cows mooing in the distance.
Yeah. Well, actually, I really need to because actually my neighbor is moving, and he was cleaning out his gun safe from some of the stuff. He's like, "Hey, you want this shotgun?" And I'm like,
Oh,
gave me an H&R 20 gauge single shot that just he had gotten from somebody else, and it had a little bit of surface rust on it and all that. But I took one of those green scrubby pads and I just soaked it down with oh, what's the stuff? The just a CLP. Just soaked it up with CLP and just rubbed it down with the green scrubby and got all the rust off. It looked a whole lot nicer after I was done with that. And yeah, I need to try it out, but I'm not allowed to shoot any. You're only allowed to shoot shotgun slugs in the indoor range. They don't let you shoot pellets.
we got 160 yards for you to shoot it on up here.
Nice.
And we can break out the black powder mortar.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, we got to do that.
So,
What's the worst that could happen?
the soda can could go too far and hit a cow or something. But
Send the soda can off into Canada and start a war.
oh, sorry.
Sacre bleu, we're being invaded.
So, this week in review for me, we had a nice review on iTunes, actually, and we encourage everybody who listens to the show, if you like the show, go leave us a review there. We really appreciate it. Someone said, always full of information on July 24th, 2018, Pistolero from Texas Pistolero. One of the few podcasts that has good information and history of firearms every show. Y'all keep it up now.
Every show. Pistolero, you've been drinking.
You are generous, my friend. But thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Main goal of this show is to hopefully spread knowledge and have people enjoy listening. And
in all honesty, we only phoned it in maybe half the shows.
Could not do it without people like Daniel Waters and Grant Cunningham, everybody else that comes on the show and shares their expertise and stuff. And we really, really appreciate it. Then also this Defensive Creations Model 10 is on Facebook. I'll post a link in the show notes. Did you see this, Weird?
I am clicking on it right now.
This thing looks sharp.
Oh, what is that? The coating.
It's well, okay, so this Model 10, I guess, was like one of those ones that came from NYPD. I guess it was beat to hell, pitted all over the place. And it's like a black DLC coating, like diamond like carbon or something.
Okay. Yeah, because it's it almost looks like
it's a matte finish.
It almost looks like my daughter's rifle, where the gun was. I can't remember what the order they did it in, but the gun was parkerized and then blued over the parkerizing.
Yeah.
So it's a matte and very like blue gray in color. Gunmetal, I guess, would be the appropriate term for.
I mean, when you get to the point that some of these guns were worn down so much that you're not going to be able to get that high polished blue. So the only real option is to do like one of those coatings like this one here. I believe it's DLC or carbon, diamond like carbon or something. And it's going to be a matte finish, but I mean, it's slick. I mean, that's what I have on the bolt of my Volquartsen. It's slicker than hell. You don't even have to put oil on that thing.
And sometimes a matte finish is just nice. It's just it adds a little, like, they don't all, if they're all high polished, then why bother?
Right. But I mean, this thing looks sharp for being something that used to be beat to hell.
Oh yeah, I love people that rehab it. I wish there was some more photos. Do you have any more photos?
It's on the Facebook post there. I'm sure I was only able to link to that one there. Okay. But those old K-frame Model 10s and 38 Special with like the fixed sights and the bull barrels, those are just like workhorse guns.
Yeah, it would be nice to see, like, if there still is, like, actually, like, when something's been like cleaned up really, really, really well, and then but there, you could still see that there's still the ravages of time are right there.
And then this next one, firearms storage safety. This happened almost 2 weeks ago now, that when we're recording the show. A town next to me, an 8-year-old boy was upstairs. His mother was downstairs with the few kids, the other kids that they have, his siblings. And he discovered his father's 12-gauge Mossberg shotgun in the closet. Apparently the shotgun was had an empty chamber. I guess they said 8 rounds in the tube. It sounds like a really long tube to me for a 12 gauge, but
yeah, mine holds 8. It depends on the shells.
Anyway, he was somehow able to get a shell in the chamber and ended up getting shot in the head when the gun accidentally went off while he was handling it. It shouldn't have happened. I'm not gonna really rag on anybody on the show here. I have my opinions about the storage of the gun and everything else. They've experienced a tragedy, so on and so forth. However, it shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. It should never happen. If you own a firearm, you should, and you have children especially, you should have some method of locking that firearm up or making it inaccessible to them. To just leave it loaded in a closet, leaned up against a wall. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no excuse for it. I'm sorry. You can make every excuse you want for it and say, well, it's my right. Well, you know what? It's my right. Yeah, it's my right does a lot to comfort you when your kid is dead because you did not secure your firearm and the child got a hold of it. I don't know what I would do if one of my children got a hold of a firearm that I just left lying around. Oh, well, it doesn't have a round in the chamber. It doesn't mean anything. Kids do everything. I've learned that now that I have children. Kids will get into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never, ever leave a firearm unsecured that's not in my direct control. Because kids can get into anything.
Yep.
Don't ever, and I've had, not my kid, I've trained him. I've told him not to do that. Well, maybe not your kid, but Billy Bob's kid down the road who comes over and hangs out with your son, who doesn't have the sense that your son does. And it's the same thing. The other thing I pointed out with my wife was, when our kids get old enough to go hang out at other people's houses, I'm not going to be afraid to ask those people, I'm a firearms owner. Are you? How do you secure your guns?
Mm-hmm.
If they have a problem with that, my kid's not going over there to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't need my kid getting hurt or killed because someone doesn't store their firearms properly.
Yep. No, that's a good statement. And of course, also you can't kid proof your guns, but you can try to gun proof your kids.
Right.
And just let them know of first up. Yeah. If you come across a gun, cause it could happen. Let's, we could talk a lot about all our guns locked up. All my guns are locked up right now. And I'm going to know for a fact, but you know what? Sometimes you might forget. You might forget to lock the safe. You might forget to put that in. You might leave a key in a locker lock. There's all sorts of options. Or you might just, I'm going to set this one aside to go clean it. And the kids are at school. I'm home, I hopped off to the range and I'm going to set this right down. And then the phone rings and then you got to go do something and you go do something. And next thing you know, the gun's just sitting out there in the open. You were going to take care of it. It just didn't happen. Make sure they do the Eddie Eagle. Don't
think that I'm saying don't train your kids about that. Train your kids on firearm safety. Train your kids on, if I see a gun, I don't touch it. I go get an adult. I tell them where it is, whatever. Expose them to it. Don't make it a taboo subject. If it's taboo, they're going to want to go see it more.
Yep.
Make it something that's not taboo. Don't try. But also, don't use that as an excuse for not locking your guns up.
Yep.
Just because your kid knows doesn't mean you can leave it laying around with an empty chamber and trust that, they're not going to touch it. They know. No, absolutely not.
And whatever you do not go, well, I don't worry about it. My gun's really well hidden.
Right, exactly. Yeah, kids can find anything.
That kid is going to be up on the top shelf of the closet. They're going to be out down behind the water heater. They're going to be doing anything on earth if they think they can find Christmas presents or skin rags. They're going to hunt it for it. And if they end up they're looking for a back issue of Penthouse and they open it up and there's a Glock. They may end up go, you know what? This is something interesting to do. I'm bored. And that's not a situation you want to be in.
This whole situation and the link to the article in the newspaper is in the show notes if you want to see it. But it was just totally avoidable. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine the suffering they're going through. I mean, knowing not only, you know, it was them that ultimately, by their, you know, not thinking of these things, allowed it to happen. I can't even fathom what they're going through,
and just how preventable it is. I mean,
yeah, it's so preventable.
A $2 trigger lock, and that's that.
I mean, you know, you want to leave the gun loaded, put it in a safe. You want to leave it, put it in a gun safe that you can use a keypad or something. You know, with my handguns, you know, there's a magazine in there in the fingerprint safe. The only way it's being able to be opened is between me or my wife, our fingerprints. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Magazine's there. If I need it, it's there. But it's not just sitting in a closet or in a desk drawer or something where my kid can get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So just please think about it. It's so preventable. And yeah, it's just a tragedy all around. So finally, fire pits in wintertime. I want to keep my fire pit open for the winter. I want to use it. Do people just cover it over?
A fire pit? I mean,
just cover it over with like a piece of wood or something.
Yeah, you just put a piece of plywood on top just to keep the snow from getting into it.
All right.
But otherwise, just put the wood on top of the snow.
My wife made fun of me. She's like, "Well, you're not going to want to go out there." I said, "Hey, how did people survive in the wintertime before houses had fires?"
I think their houses had fires. I think if they had fire, they had houses in fire.
Well, I'm sorry. I want to go out during the wintertime because wintertime is boring.
That's the best time to do it. I wouldn't want to be out around a fire pit right tonight. It's like 80 degrees and 100% humidity, and there's bugs. That's just one of those, like, it'd be cool for like 5 minutes, and then it'd be like, all right, I'm really hot and sweaty.
So what is your drink segment, Weird?
Well, for my drink tonight, I am just drinking a dry martini because I didn't feel like doing anything super duper fancy, and it's one of my favorite drinks. But the other night, so my wife has a coworker, and she's like, "Oh, he's a big cocktail guy," and I'm like, "Okay, what's his power moves?" And he's like, "Oh, Aviation and Corpse Survivor #2 were two of the drinks." I'm like, "Okay, we got something to talk about here." So it was him and his girlfriend and the wife and I went out to this place called Wink and Nod in Boston. And oh my God, if you are ever in Boston, it's in the South End, you need to check this place out. It is awesome. And there's a drink that the link in the show notes has their drink menu and all that. It's like, it's set up like a speakeasy style. It's just got it's a little like nondescript door on the side of a building. And just goes down the stairs. The place is dark inside. Like for a minute, I was like, my eyes adjusted after, but by the time we were leaving, I was fine. But when I first went down there, I'm like, how do I even get to the other side of the bar? and they had just some really interesting cocktails and a lot of good stuff on the bar. So we had a good time.
Perfect.
And the other thing is, well, I'll let you explain it. What did I sent you a picture? What did it say that my evening cocktail was going to be?
Everclear, which you can't get in Maine, can we?
No. The wife was up in.
They know what will happen.
Yeah, the wife was up in, and I told her. I said, if you mind stopping and getting a bottle of Everclear on your way to Maine when you're in New Hampshire, because you can get it in New Hampshire. Not the super high test stuff. This is the. I forget what percentage this stuff is. I think it was like 75.5%, I think, or something like that.
Once they legalized Allen's, the place went to hell, so we can't have any of it.
But yeah, so needless to say, I was at the grocery store the other day and I got an extremely good deal on a whole bunch of jalapenos. And so some jalapeno vodka is going to come back in. And again, the importance of the Everclear is if you're doing infusion with anything that has a lot of moisture in it, such as fruits or vegetables, you could do, like, I just use, 3 Olive vodka because it's the cheapest, highest quality and most neutral tasting vodka that I can get my hands on. That you can put just like black peppercorns. You can put like dry spices in, no problem, and it'll infuse just fine because there's no moisture. But with fruit, like if you want to put like apples or strawberries or something like that in vodka to infuse them. If you do it in just regular vodka, it is going to have extremely low alcohol content. It's going to be below your 80 proof level. So, if you want to be in that level and have it, match up in potency in your spirits, start with something like Everclear, and it'll pull the moisture out of it, and then it will not be, stripping the paint off a Foot Locker.
And don't be like TJ and put 10 million peppercorns in a nip bottle.
Yeah. That'll put hair on your chest.
Or take it off if you pour it on your chest.
Next time we see a picture of TJ, he's going to have a full beard.
All right. So with that, we'll head into the main topic. Quote unquote bad ideas that were actually maybe good? Question mark. Upward inflection. So this was actually Weird's plan. So if it goes bad, we're blaming it on you.
Blame it on me. Thank you. Thank you. There I am under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah. So you actually came up with it. So what was the original plan that you had?
Well, the one that I first saw, it was just the other day, is I've been seeing it around I think they must have had it for almost a year, because I've been seeing it for a while, is this Full Conceal company. They make a Glock where you fold the grip down. And the first time I saw that, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, yeah, no, I hate when Glocks show up. Sorry.
And then there's a video in the show of the the show that's going on right now? The Trigger Con. This is from Trigger Con, and he's showing off. He's got a what is it?
It's an Aroni chassis. It's a chassis.
Yeah. And he's got a Glock 43 version as well. So they got a super tiny one, but the Glock 19 one, he showed it. He folded it up and then stuffed it in the back pocket of his jeans. Essentially, it was, saying it was
wow,
it's super duper small when it's all folded up. And once it folds, it disconnects the trigger. So it's designed to be carried with one in the chamber, and it does deploy relatively quickly. But the big thing that got me on this is I don't know if I'm fully sold on doing the pocket carry version of it, though. If that's you, since it does appear to be quite safe, then I would not fault it. Just learn how to deploy it. But for something if someone's carrying it like a handbag, or if you put something in a fanny pack, it's something that's a more unconventional carry. I could see that as something that might be useful. And then with this Roni, that makes a lot of sense. Is this thing's essentially like a little PDW style, and it's just folds up. It folds up nice and small. And the idea is, you could put it in a backpack, put it in a briefcase, put it in a messenger bag, and instead of I'm deploying a standard handgun, of which there are plenty of good options to conceal this. Now I'm deploying something that really is not easily concealable unless you're doing the, Lethal Weapon 2 with the MP5K under the sport coat.
Does this extend the barrel?
I don't believe it does. I believe it extends the sight radius, but I believe it's just free boring.
Well, it adds it adds all the rail and stuff for you to be able to put whatever you want on it for your base Glock, but
and the pistol brace. So you can put it on your shoulder now. It's legal again.
Well, yeah, this kind of reminds me of that. What was it? Wasn't the Mars, but that folding submachine gun way back, Magpul FMG9.
Yeah, the one that was like a flashlight radio.
Yeah, well, the early one, and then Magpul did that one that looked like a laptop battery.
Yeah,
and you could just press a button and it would come right out. This is kind of similar to that. I mean, it doesn't look like anything, obviously, but it makes it a lot more compact and everything else.
It seems like a whole lot better. That's interesting it doesn't extend the barrel, but it's got that little weird barrel extension to it. I was thinking about the one that was made by I think it was made by one of the Israeli companies, had one where essentially the front of it's just wide open. So I don't know. It must be indexed in just fine. So you don't have to worry about a round getting out a little sideways through that hole. But
It's, I mean, this is probably this is the best application of that concept, I think, is with that chassis.
And I guess another idea is if you like the VZ61 Scorpion, if that's one of those guns, that's one of those like, no, that gun makes a whole lot of sense. Like this is kind of like a successor to the VZ61 Scorpion.
Snarky says the Roni is Israeli.
Oh, okay.
And Mark Hookham says, I shot a Glock 18 out of a Roni. It was awesome.
I bet that would be really awesome.
And now that you can use now that they've done the whole shoulder brace thing and that's all over with.
Well, if it's a Glock 18, guess what? You can put a shoulder stock
on.
Well,
yeah, obviously, but with just like a standard Glock.
Because when it's a machine gun, that's the only important part. You can do whatever else you want with it.
Those Ronis were kind of pointless back when you could only be like law enforcement or whatever to have because otherwise it was just like a really big ass pistol.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you can have the shoulder brace on it, that opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, it made a little bit of sense when you could put like an angled foregrip on the front of it, and you could attach a sling point to it, so you could do the little isometric sling trick with it.
I've done that; it works, but it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I've heard, I think some people would put some people were putting buffer tubes on the end of it too, so you could do a cheek weld.
Feels great.
Yeah, I've never tried it, so I can't speak to it one way or the other. But there was some like debatable options towards maybe this is a good idea. But now that it's got the arm brace on it that you can place it on your shoulder, it's very much got that whole VZ61 action to it, and with the fact that the gun with the extended magazine folds right up.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. So you've got like more capacity than a Scorpion in a major caliber instead of 32, and it folds up even smaller than the Scorpion when it's not deployed. The difference is I don't know how well it will work with the stock folded. You certainly need to unfold the grip to make it active. But I also I like the fact that until you unfold it, which is a very deliberate action, the gun is safe. So
it's too bad you couldn't do just like the Glock lower and have the Roni have the upper in it and have a longer barrel and have a 10 millimeter folding.
Oh,
Roni.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like, I don't.
You know how I feel about 10 millimeters out of longer barrels.
Yeah, I mean, 10-inch barrel, 10 millimeter with the shoulder brace, quote unquote, still a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Roni, make it. Send me one.
That's right. Oh, and then you need to go get a deer with it.
Yeah.
You'd kill a deer graveyard dead with that.
Have the quintessential Maine picture right on the hood of a Dodge Neon.
While you're drinking a Bud Light and smoking a Newport.
God. Well, it has to have the what's that? The spoiler. It has to have the spoiler on the back trunk.
Oh, God, I hate Dodge Neons.
So this is actually that's one of the bad ideas. That is a bad idea. So Taurus curve, but perhaps on a larger framed firearm. And this is actually something I picked up from the Gun Nation podcast, which you should still go listen to. They're all still up. Fantastic show. We love Doc Wesson. We love all the guests. But Grant, a friend of the show here, Grant had talked about this as well. The Taurus curve, we kind of wanted to make fun of it, but he was a little bit reserved. He was like, it's actually not a terrible concept if perhaps it could be adapted to a larger framed handgun.
I mean, honestly speaking, my concern about the curve was, one, Taurus's quality control and all that. And I've never handled one or shot one. So I can't say one way or the other about that gun. But for the size, the fact that it's a pocketable gun, that the first thing I thought about was the fact that I've got a massive collection of hip flasks, believe it or not, shock. for, with the hip flask, it's got that curve to it. And oh my goodness, when you drop it into a pocket, it just disappears and it's very, very comfortable. And also it's going to stay upright. It's not going to turn around in your pocket because it's kind of going to lock onto your leg in that instance. So that setting for the curve works fine, but still the same idea is put it in a bell holster up again, inside the waistband holster. And it's going to mold up against your side. It's going to print a little less. It'll probably be a little more comfortable. It's not
there were ideas for the rounded edges. I mean, you remember looking at that thing at the show, there was not a square 90-degree edge on that gun anywhere.
No, it's got the whole melt treatment. Who's the guy that did all the super duper melt treatments for the 1911s? Who's the guy I mean, everyone does it now, but who was the one that made it famous? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but it's got that full melt look.
Full melt, left in a little bit too long melt look.
Yeah, left in the dryer too long. So yeah, I never knocked the idea of the Taurus curve. Like I've always saw that as a very novel and interesting idea. There's a bunch of other stuff. The fact that they didn't put sights on it. Come on, Taurus.
Yeah, well, it had the quote unquote flashlight, 2 LED bulbs.
Yeah.
Like brighter than the bulbs of my board.
Can help you find the lock to your the lock to your car so you don't scratch your paint. You might put a 380 into it, but yeah, whatever.
But yeah, no, the Taurus curve, great idea, piss poor execution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually. Is it still even in the lineup?
It's gotta be. Could they dump it that fast?
Drum roll, please. It is. It's still there. Well, let me make sure it's not on the archive page first.
Yeah, no, that's
still there.
It's still there.
Yep. I mean, they're not terrible. The trigger pull's kind of atrocious.
It's a Taurus.
Yeah, it's actually probably better than some of the Tauruses I've fired. Everybody's going to be emailing us. We just had this Taurus episode. Now all of a sudden you're ragging on them.
What are you talking about? I didn't get a chance to rag on him too much because I was letting Daniel be brilliant.
So Ruger
when somebody's saying smart, you don't dump stupid on top of it.
So Ruger LCR, this is one that you have more to say on than I do.
Oh God, I thought that was the dumbest thing on earth when I first saw it. It was ugly. It was weird. Why would you make it out of plastic? My thought was revolvers are a extremely mature technology. I mean, we've been making double action revolvers since the 19th century. And the J frame, since when does the first J frame come around? Was like the 30s.
No. First J frame was like 1950.
Oh, was it that late?
Yeah. Those were back then, back in the 50s.
It was still the I-frame.
The I-frame.
Yeah. But still, it's such a mature technology that really there had been no new developments in the small guns. I mean, back to Taurus. Taurus had come up with a few, like was it Taurus View? What was that little clear, obnoxious, horrible little gun?
View.
Yeah,
that one actually showed the first inklings of the curve because they bent the grip frame on it.
Oh wow.
The grip, if you look at the back end of it, the grip frame itself is curved a little bit. What counts as a grip frame? That little tiny stub.
Yeah, just a stub.
Yeah. October 1950, first J frame left the line.
Okay. So they'd been out for so long. So suddenly the idea that Ruger was going to throw something new into the game and it was going to be these absolutely pig ugly revolvers. I'm just like, why would you do that? Why would you bother? And then, Ryan, last time you were looking at my safe, what did you see in there?
I saw a Ruger LCR.
Ruger LCR?
Multiple Ruger LCRs.
You saw 2 Ruger LCRs. Yeah. I went and bought 2 of them. And they're awesome. And I will say right now, if you are looking to carry a small framed revolver as a either a light carry gun or a backup gun and all that, like you've really got to have a good reason to pick something other than the LCRs. Like I honestly cannot think of, with the exception of looks, they are so ugly. They are such an unattractive looking revolver.
I need to go share the video of us shooting on the range again, because all my other videos, like the stupidest videos I've ever posted on YouTube, have all these views, and that one still only has like 400 views.
I was amazed by it. Actually, I was just watching that the other day, and it was just like, there's
so much information,
and you get to see you.
Yeah, you get to
do what is the dumbest thing on earth with like a Smith & Wesson air weight of the dropping one full house 357 Magnum into the wheel and then loading in 4 38 specials.
And the funny part is, watching the video, you can see when the pain is about to happen, because you can see how much longer the bullet is in the.
Well, I mean, yeah, those 357s, they are pretty much flush with the forcing cone.
Yeah. How much 2400 did you dump into those things?
No, that was Blue Dot. And
no, it was something. That's what it was.
I need to go look up the load data, but yeah, they were going at least 1,200 feet per second, 158 grains.
That's how fast I felt my hand going back.
Yeah, but it's not that, but it's not painful.
No, it didn't hurt at all.
Have you ever shot a?
I shot a 340 PD. It felt like I hit something holding an aluminum baseball bat.
Oh, I mean,
just
they are.
Oh my god!
Like I said, I have a buddy who cooks up insane loads for his 500 Magnum. He's got a 460 as well, and he cooks up. He teaches the reloading classes for the Gun Owners Action League, and like he really knows his stuff. He's super duper safe with these, and because he's super duper safe, he knows right what line to get up to before this is not a good idea anymore. And he came up to me once and goes, "Hey, Weird, I got a load just for you for my 500. I call it the 12 gauge duplication load." And it was like a 700 grain. Not 700. Those are the big train stoppers. I think it was like a 550 grain bullet or something like that. It was a lead wad cutter with a gas check on it that was 1 ounce of lead, with a big old flat nose on the end of it, and it was going 1,500 feet per second out of a 4-inch barrel. He'd chronoed it, and I shot 15 of those, and was okay until the next morning. But those are not as bad as shooting a scandium framed air weight in 357, shooting full house 357s through that.
Yeah, no, polymer frame revolvers are definitely here to stay, and they do offer quite a bit.
Yep, but yeah, specifically the Ruger. Oh my god, they did it so right, and I really didn't want to like them, and yeah, I really like them.
And then finally, before we wrap up here, this is a very specific example that I brought up to Weird before we started the show. RMRs. And not so much now, but back in the day, people used to say, "Oh, they're just for competition. No one's ever going to carry a pistol with a big-ass red dot on the top of the slide. The red dot's not going to handle the velocity of the slide. You cut a dovetail in there, you put the red dot on there, it ain't going to work, blah, 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 blah." Me personally, do I like them? I mean, I haven't used them enough. I've used them on my 22 where there isn't a reciprocating slide, so I don't have that issue.
I will also state that for the little I have used red dots, I have found that if it doesn't co-witness, then you lose the dot like almost instantly. Like as soon as the dot goes out of that little window, all right, well, where is it? Right. Is it up left? Is it up right? Is it directly above? And you got to like swing around. And if you overcorrect, it'll swing down below the window and you'll be swinging it around. And you really need to shoot that gun a lot for that red dot to come back every time. And you can do it. I know people who shoot red dots a lot, and they've got it down that just like when the gun comes up for me, that was one of the drills that I was doing at the range this week was gun goes down at low ready and come up and double tap the target. And when you come up, the sights are on the target. Because guess what? I shot that revolver and my 1911 in my car a lot of times. And so when the gun comes up, it comes up right to where it needs to be, and everything's all lined up because I've done that. And you could do that with an RMR as well, but it's a different animal than what we do with our iron sights. So, but a lot of people deal with that by just saying, all right, I'll make it co-witness. And I gotta say, like at that point in time, if it's co-witnessing, it might be a little faster, but I mean,
just train with it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. I mean, if you want to do that, but the thing I was coming up with, people are like, oh, there's a lot of people that still say, oh, well, that's just for, it's not. There are companies making optics-ready firearms, optics-ready handguns with decent mounts. The optic's not going to fly off the gun while the slide reciprocates. You got to make sure you get a decent optic, though. Don't go get something, some cheap $60 jobby and expect it to withstand the slide velocities of a 9mm or a 40 or even a 22.
Yeah,
because it ain't.
Yeah, I know Tam Keel over at View from the Porch was laughing about the fact that she had gone to, I think it was an IDPA competition, and was rolling her eyes at the fact that she had to take her carry gun, would take her competition gun, which was a plain Jane, iron sighted gun, and put that away in the box so that she could take her carry gun, which had the optic on it and is not legal for IDPA because it's a gamer gun, so to speak. But that was her daily carry, because guess what? They've got them down small and light enough that you absolutely can carry with those.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. So I think we covered a decent amount here. So
yeah,
with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. Be sure to visit the Firearms Insider, and be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird, you've got a lot going on over at the Assorted Calibers podcast, so why don't you fill us in?
Well,
this is great. This is great. This is really inspiring.
I
want to go listen to your show.
I was just like, what announcements? Oh, well, we've got a new show coming out with the Sort of Calibers podcast. That's for our Patreon customers. Is that what you were looking for?
That's what I was looking for very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, you've got to find somebody else next week because I'm going on vacation.
No, you can't go.
But for our paying customers, we're going to be setting up a roundtable show, and I think we're going to have all the guys on that, including Savage, who hasn't been showing up a lot because I guess he just moved to a new house and is like busy and stuff. And I've moved. I know what it's like. You've just recently moved. You know what it's like. It sucks.
6 months ago, and it still sucks.
Yeah. And so it's going to be, I think we're going to get everybody on, and we're going to be doing a roundtable discussion. And for God's sakes, people, go into the chat, into the Facebook group, and give us some topics to talk about. There's not a lot of people have been talking about what they want to hear us talk about. We got stuff to talk about, but we want you to let us know what you want to hear us talk about. So that'll be something new. I'll announce it. I recorded we did a movie commentary track also for paying customers. I think that might be fun. It's me and the Egghead sitting down watching Mazes and Monsters with Tom Hanks. It was an old anti-D&D movie from like 1982. It was hilarious. Yeah. But then otherwise we just got the regular show. That's good times for everybody. You still listening, Ryan?
Oh yeah. All the time. And the blooper reels that you send me.
Oh, those are good. Those are good times. All right. And you can also catch me on my blog, which is weirdworld.com. That mostly just directs you to the podcasts I'm working on.
Excellent. And sorry, I'm just responding in the chat.
Of course you are.
Well, they're having a discussion about moon clips. Snarky and Mark. Snarky and Mark sounds like a new podcast.
The Snarky and Mark Show actually sounds like a morning drive. Hey, welcome to the Snarky and Mark Show.
God, they're discussing the moon clipless auto pistol caliber revolvers. I was like, yeah, not a good idea. Generally,
I mean, yeah, I've heard very little good about the Charter Arms ones, and Smith and
Well,
Wesson made Smith and Wesson made one for a little while, but
547.
yeah, but I think that was like a super duper special run. Like I don't think they ever intended for mass production of that, and they never did mass produce it. And as a general rule, like if you can't buy it now, there's probably a reason.
Excellent. So thank you, Weird, for coming on the show.
Well, it's always good to be on the show.
And until next week, have fun and safe shooting.